Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Love Island Australia Season 3, Episodes 6 through to 10. Now, Chris, this series just gets better and better. And in episode 6, you know, we'd given Jess and Taku our blessing, I seem to remember, and thought that was going pretty well. And then there's a almost Phelps-like 180 that comes. and so what do you think of Jess, Chris?
Dave, I am calling her out from the start, and it is a Phelps 180. You're completely correct. She goes in with Taku. Obviously, I'd slated Aaron, and it's like it was a bit of a bell end, you know, out of order what he did. Poor Taku was just sort of left in the wilderness, but he ends up getting with Jess. There's a bit of a kiss there. There's a bit of like, you know, the dialogue between Jess and Taku is really good. And literally, I mean, I'm presuming this happens over, say, a 12-hour period over like sort of sleeping on it. Jess then decides to shit on Taku. But when Taku's speaking to her, she's sort of like, well, I can do what I want. Now, she can do what she wants, but what? She said there was nothing between her and Aaron, but all of a sudden there is. And for me, Dave, and I know I'll talk about Ronnie later, but that's just, to be fair, she did to the guys what the guys used to do to the girls, don't they, where they keep the options open, Dave. So we can't, I'm not going to be totally harsh on her, but I was sat there going, oh my God, it's the Spider-Man thing. All the guys are pointing at going, she's done us. She's done because she's playing the game. I didn't agree with it at all. I thought poor Taku got shit on, but I was like, well, it is pretty much what goes on most of the time with the men.
But is she playing the game? Because I'd said in the first 5 episodes, she kind of did this weird switcheroo herself where she was like not really interested in Aaron, then she couldn't stop obsessing about him, then she says there's no spark and ends up with Taku, and then, you know, she does a switcheroo again and says, oh, I can't stop thinking about him. It's like, it's not as if she just thinks, you know, she's wavering a bit, you know, and thinks, oh, maybe it's one, maybe it's the other. It's not like she agonizes. It's like she's all or nothing, it seems. And I'd said, you know, there was red flags the way she completely switched on Aaron both times to say how interested she was in the first place. And then second, the way she just binned him off saying there's no spark. And then she fucking ends up back with him. And it's like, oh, fucking hell, I would run a mile here. Danger, Will Robinson.
I'm with you. I was sort of like, and what made me laugh is it was annoying. I tell you what annoyed me about that conversation she had with Taku. He apologized to her. She's like, I don't like what you're insinuating. I'm like, no, fuck off. You're gaslighting Taku here. He done nothing wrong but be a gentleman. I didn't see anything wrong in what he was saying to her. He was asking her a genuine question. And as soon as she got a bit of resistance, it reminded me of, Dave, so much. Fucking Beck off Maths. That, it's your fault at any cost. And she was not having any of it. I agree that she can do whatever the fuck she wants, whether it's morally right or wrong. That is her decision. It's her life. She does whatever she wants. But the story we've been told and what she did there, I was like, we were almost feeling sorry for her. And I was like, well, Jess, I'm off your train. However, I don't know if you've got any more to say on that, Dave, because I was going to move on to something else.
I thought you were going to say something in particular, but I'll say it instead. However, what fucking great TV, because the last thing we want from Love Island is for everyone to couple up on day one and then just watch them fucking sunbathing. Jess is a classic character to have on this show, and it is brilliant. But fucking hell, it did take me by surprise, that one. And I did see some comments from our Facebook group, you know, once we'd put out the first 5 episodes, and people saying, I think you might be surprised at some of the things that are going to happen. And I think it was probably alluding to this with Jess. And I didn't expect it to be so quick, the way she just binned Taku off and then went with the fucking emo string bean as I donned him last episode. So, well,
I think that he thinks he's fucking Justin Bieber crossed with Eminem with that haircut, Dave, because I think it's more Bieber than anything. I definitely give him them vibes. And he loves himself as well. He's a little knob as well. And at the moment, he might turn into a good guy, but I just think he knew. I mean, Taku, the sheets hadn't even been made on the bed. And he was like, oh, Taku who? Oh, fuck him off. Don't worry about it.
He literally picked her. And then she was like, oh, I fucking really like Aaron. And then she's obsessing about him, staring at him across the pool and stuff. And yeah, I appreciated Taku was just like, you know what? I'm not playing. So, you know, it's okay for you to have your options open, but I'm taking myself off the table. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, that's fair enough on that one. And also, Dave.
Sorry, the very last thing I will say is it's a bit weird. I was saying, is she playing the game? But she did kind of do that switcheroo right after she found out she was the most popular girl in the villa.
You know what? I didn't even correlate that, Dave. I didn't even think that. I didn't even notice. So that's a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, it could be unrelated, but it just, I don't know. You can see that Taku's probably quite popular, isn't he? So, you know, if you couple up with you don't have to be that popular yourself, but if you're coupled up with someone who's really popular, got a good chance of going quite far in this show, haven't you? So I don't know. It smells a bit off to me. And I think those two things are too close together to be a coincidence.
I think you're right, Dave, actually. Inspector Horrocks, he's actually correct there. I think that I'd be coming to that same conclusion if I'd spotted that. But also, we get Emily, don't we? This new girl. She sends a text to Ronnie and Mitch. And I've got to say, Dave, I'm questioning Mitch, you know. He's got a great body on him. He looks as old as me. He's 40. I'm 40. He's not 43. Steady. I'm 43. But he looks old, Dave. I mean, he's not got the grey hair I've got, but he looks older than 25 to me.
He does a bit. And, you know, I went on a real journey with Mitch, to be honest, because I don't like him. Like I say, he looks like a fucking rugby player from Oxford or something like that to me. He's just got that upper crust face about him. And also he's got that gormless fucking laugh at him as well. You know, when he's snogging all the girls and stuff, he's like, like fucking steady on, sunshine. Yeah, but by the end of these 5 episodes, actually I was kind of rooting for him a little bit. So he's won me around. I don't know, Chris. I don't know if he's older or he's just got one of those old faces that you grow into. You know, like Willem Dafoe's been 40 for about 30 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You just have some of these people, don't you, who grow into their faces.
And that's a good point, actually, Dave, because I think with Mitch, and you're right, these next 5 episodes, it's pretty much his journey, isn't it, really, with what's going on? Because Emily comes in and puts it on him, really, pretty much. I know Ryan has a bit of a go with her as well. He's got no fucking loyalty to anybody, that lad. But then it is all about Mitch, Emily, and Tina. You know, so I think with Mitch, what I would say, I'm not as convinced as you. And he came into it, I was thinking he's a good guy. But I've got to say that if this was real life, Dave, I don't think he'd have a fucking one iota of guilt towards Tina. Oh, no. I think he'd have gone off with Emily and done whatever they wanted to do together. And he'd be like, well, it never happened, did it? Let's just keep quiet. I think he's trying to be too nice. And I think he's what you always say, he's one of them fake nice guys, because I don't know at the moment whether I truly believe he's being genuine. I just think I don't know. It just seems off for me at the moment. And I know we've got the hindsight and people are in front of us watching this, but I just was like, no, you are completely bullshitting here because your social media stuff outside the villa after this finishes. So I don't know what you think on that, Dave.
Look, if he's out playing fucking his Aussie rules football, he's coupled up with Tina and he's out at a bar, meets up with Emily, you know what's happening there. So I'm not saying I'm completely in his corner, but he just won me round a little bit compared to where I was, you know, when he first appeared and that. But so let's see where that one goes. But I mean, Ronnie, got a date
I
as well,
know.
though, didn't he? When Emily first came in, and Ronnie, who always refers to himself in the third person, it's like fucking dick. So yeah, but clearly he had no chance. She had to pick someone else, didn't she? But
Yeah.
Emily has made a beeline for Mitch all the way through these 5 episodes, hasn't she?
Oh, big time, big time. And you say Ronnie, Dave, as well. Ronnie was doing what Jess has just done as well, because Ronnie had Courtney and Ari. And what made me laugh, Dave, how do you get close to the girl that you actually fancy? Tell you what, let's do some dancing together. Let's put each other's crotches, intertwine them and talk about this. And let's do a dancing competition with the rest of the island, but then pick Harry. And when Harry went, am I with you? Of course. And Courtney sat there absolutely pulling her fucking hair out, Dave. Once she was fuming. And I was like, I really did say to her, look, I am attracted to both of you. I do like Harry, but it was so obvious. It was that old classic schoolboy thing, wasn't it? You know what I mean? You're pairing up with.
Give her a dead arm.
Exactly. Yeah. The fittest girl in the school. Let's do the 3-legged race together or something like that. You know, it's fucking nonsense. I don't, yeah, it's probably another weenie as we get older, Dave.
I love how, he's coupled up with Courtney at the time, and you're thinking, oh, where's this going to go? And he's like, right, everybody, salsa lessons. Oh, Courtney, not so fast.
Haven't you got an injury? Just sit down there. I'll sort Harry out. And Dave, he's into Harry. Big time. Big time.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced his attention lasts that long, but I did think it was funny because, earlier on he'd been saying like, oh yeah, all the girls always say, oh, I'm never going to sleep with Ronnie. And then let's see, so again, a little window into how he navigates life outside the villa. I just think he's a fucking creep, to be honest.
I think you're right, actually, because I think we're hitting into sort of where we are talking about 6 and 7 really episodes, but I was a bit pissed off with Rachel because she had a pop at Chris and it was a cordial conversation and everything. And then it just turned and he's like, I'm not putting up with this shit. And I did think, I was in the conversation, I was thinking, what have I missed there? I've been looking at my phone? Did I leave the room? What have I missed there with these two? Because I thought, I don't see Chris has done anything wrong. And to be fair, Rachel admitted she sort of self-sabotages, doesn't she, and overthinks everything. And they came together really well after that, to be honest. It was all, I'm not saying he was completely blameless, but I was thinking, I don't get it. I don't understand what's happened. I mean, did you pick up on that?
Well, you know what, Chris? I'm going to be a little bit on the fence here because I don't think it's quite as obvious on Love Island, the producer manipulation. Don't think it's as obvious as how it is on Bachelor. I mean, it's laughable on Bachelor, isn't it? And you can see the producer's fingerprints all over it. But the fact that we saw nothing, not even like a little 10-second interaction, not even like, a shot of maybe, Rachel looking across at Chris at the pool and he's ignoring her or something. It was just weird. You'd think if there had been a real build-up, you would have seen that. Unless the producers just want to cut that out. They don't want to show that to us. And they just want to show Rachel as this kind of bunny boiler kind of thing. So I couldn't... It did seem to come from nowhere. But is that because it really came from nowhere? Or they didn't want us to see anything?
That's true. That's true. I mean, she did say something along them lines, didn't she? Regarding one of the games, she said something like, I can't remember what it was, but something like I'd be doing something, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute, that's a little bit of a red flag there. That's a bit intense.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling from Chris he's a bit of a fake nice guy. I'm not convinced by him at all. And like I said, I wasn't particularly convinced by Rachel either. But it was just the fact that we hadn't seen anything. There was clearly something that had been going on through the day. And yeah, his reaction, he was a bit fucked off, wasn't he? And then wandered off. So yeah, I need to see a bit more of Chris. But yeah, I'm not getting that he's blameless from that interaction.
Yeah. And I think you could be right. It could be something off camera that they've just not edited in. I tell you what, Dave, I'm fascinated with fucking Ryan's face now, you know. Ever since you said there's something off, it's like he's got no eyebrows. It's like his eyes and his well, even his eyebrows are almost squashed together in the middle. I can't work out. When you said it, I was like, no, he's a good looking lad, blue-eyed boy. He came in. I said he looked like to me, he was probably the best looking lad when he came in. And then the more I see him, I just look at him and go, there's something off with you. He's either got so much fucking Botox going on, but he's got like the Joker sort of eyebrow, Jack Nicholson. It's like a startled look all the time. And I agree now. The more I look, every time he comes on, I literally fucking stand in front of the camera going, what is going on with your fucking brow? There's something well off with it. It's your fault. I never even noticed it.
It is weird, isn't it? It's like my brain just can't accept that that's his real face. It's just something very, very off. You know, lots of people look very different, and I feel bad if he, that is just his natural face, but I'm not buying it. There is something definitely off there, something that's been adjusted.
Yeah, definitely. And also, Ryan, he ended up in the hideaway with Lexi, Dave, about as exciting as you'll get in the hideaway. It was just like, oh, right, yeah. Here we go again.
Ryan turns on the old charm there. He gets all soppy and everything. And I don't know. I think one of the things, actually, after the hideaway, one of the things I found a bit annoying, to be honest, was, when they come back, they do the whole Grease thing, don't they? The boys go off, tell me more. And the girls go off and they want to know what's going on as well. And they're going on, spill the beans, what's happened and everything. And he says, we didn't have sex or anything. And Aaron goes, I respect her even more now. And I was like, fucking hell, are we back in the fucking 50s or something? Why would you respect her more for not having sex or just having it? But if Ryan would have had it, would he have respected Ryan more and respected Lexi less? And I know he's probably just reflecting society, but it's just one of those fucking bullshit things, isn't it? It's like, previously they'd done the whole how many people have you slept with. And what I found really interesting about that, apart from Ryan, who's got his bullshit 500 number up there, I mean, it's a fucking round number, isn't it? It's like, oh, yeah. But all the rest of the boys seem to be downplaying it quite a bit. I can't remember everyone's number, but I seem to remember Mitch was like 35. And everyone's like, really? You've been like an Aussie rules footballer for however many years. And if you've been single and whatever, 35, it seems that bit seemed to be a little bit of a reverse of normal convention. But I just thought it was a really fucking annoying comment from Aaron, that just about how he'd respect Lexi more. It's nothing to do with fucking respect, you little toe rag.
No, and also he's just trying to win fucking people saying he's a nice guy, isn't he? I think I think he feels he has to say that sort of stuff. I agree with that. I don't think it made sense. But I do want to tell a little story, Dave, about Greece. So I don't know. I think I might have told you this, maybe not on the podcast, but our closest friends, me and Sam, we went to a party, and it wasn't a keys in the bowl party, Dave. It was just a get together of friends. And
clarified that.
Clarified that, just in case anyone was thinking, oh yeah. But one of our friends, and it's Sam's best friend, and her husband's probably my best mate. And outside of our friends, obviously not you, Dave. You are the number one, by the way. You do know that.
Oh,
thank you. No problem. Just remember that with your Christmas present. But no, yeah, on paper. Yeah, you're my type on paper. Yeah, on podcast, you're my type on paper. But we went to this do, right? And we're all there having a drink and everyone's having a great time. And our friend just said, Joanna goes, what would be really good? Now, bear in mind, so I was probably about 30 then, Dave, 31. Why don't we do a Greece night? So I'm looking at Sam going, what? And everyone's going, oh, that'd be great. I could be Rizzo and you could be Kanicki and you could, John Travolta, you could be Danny and all this. And I'm going, I remember my mate just going, and it's his missus. He went, but Claire, why? What the fuck? Why? And then all the women are like, all huddled up, like you say, like, oh, that'll be amazing. And I remember looking at Sam's looking at me, Sam's going, oh, it'd be really good if you could just tell on my face. I'm like, well, I'm not fucking turning up for that. I could probably get my hair looking like Daddy's, but I cannot dance. Then he was like, get a leather jacket and we'll get T-bird things and pink ladies printing on jackets. And I'm like, but where are we going? Are we going on like a pub crawl for the day? No, we'll just do it in someone's front room. And I'm like, well, I'm fucking out there because I'm not fucking 10 years old and I have no interest to dress up as fucking Danny Zuko Dave. You know what I mean?
So it's not Halloween or anything, any special event. Let's just do it. Let's just dress up.
Let's just do it. Well, you mentioned, I've got a quick story on that, Dave. We'll segue very quickly. Halloween, about 10 years ago, everyone's getting dressed up. My old man goes as fucking Richard Thingy, the Rocky Horror Show and all that stuff. Or Tim Thingy, whatever he's called, gets dressed up, gets the full gear on, gets told it's the 70s and Halloween night, so you don't have to go as just a Halloween thingy. What did I do, Dave? Chris goes as fucking Starsky at Starsky Nuts. She gets the afro, went to Affleck's Palace in Manchester, gets a second-hand leather jacket, I get the brown gloves. So I don't even know that was Hutch wore them. And only one there, Dave, who wasn't in Halloween gear. Fucking had a gun. I burst in the room with a gun and this wig on. Fucking,
everyone's like fucking Dracula or Frankenstein or something.
What have you come as? And I was like, Starsky. And they were like, yeah, but what's that got to do with Halloween? And the old man was having me at it. He went, he told me it was a fucking 70s do. It's one of them stupid things I never forget, Dave, unfortunately. It was another embarrassing moment.
He could have told you something else. But
very true.
It's weird because in the UK, we do like to be true to the Halloween spirit, don't we? We like to dress up as like ghosts and ghouls, witches and everything. Whereas in America, I don't think they particularly care. I think it's just dress up, so it's just fancy dress a lot more. So I think you'd have fit in there a bit better.
I would have done. I remember going as The Undertaker with Sam, and it was on my Facebook the other day, about a month ago on the timeline. And I went as The Undertaker, the rest had the belt on and everything. And I've had about 4 people come up to me on the night, go, wow, goes, I look like Gene Simmons. What a character. I'm like, I'm not fucking the guy out of Kiss. I'm The Undertaker, one of the greatest wrestlers ever. You know what I mean? But there you go.
And they're like, wrestling? Oh, I used to watch that when I was about 10.
What do you? Right, anyway, move on, Dave. Move on.
So, Chris, we did have a recoupling, and what I found interesting about this one, I didn't write the obvious ones, who coupled up with who, but Emily got to choose, and she chose Mitch. This had been coming for a little while. Ronnie chose Ari, and Courtney wasn't happy because that's who she was previously coupled up with. And so we've been through this whole recoupling drama, and Sophie Monk decides to fucking wander out the green room and join them. It's like, I think you've had a recoupling, haven't you? Well, apparently the public have been voting, and they quite like Courtney, so Courtney gets a stay of execution and gets to stay. So what do you reckon to that? Firstly, like Sophie Monk just fucking wandering in after the recoupling, and also Courtney staying.
Well, Dave, I've got to defend Sophie because the way you went at her on the last episode was a disgrace, actually. She's a national treasure in Australia, and I think it's a disgrace he said about She is fucking useless. Absolutely useless. Comes in.
That's Chris talking.
That's me. It's Chris. Dave, she looks the part. She's a good-looking girl and everything. But when she comes in, I'm just like, what is the point? You come in. It's like the last rose on The Bachelor, isn't it? This is the last rose. No shit, Sherlock. Wow. Thanks very much for that.
Chris, did you notice the Keith face from her? So Keith from The Office, when he says stuff, when he's having these awkward conversations, and then he just nods at himself and he closes his eyes while he's nodding.
Oh, yeah.
Sophie Monk did it. I can't remember what she said now, but she did that thing and then just closed her eyes and did a little nod. I thought it was Keith. I'm gonna have to dig it out and send it on to you which minute it is. But
I can't believe he's still calling her out, Dave. Unbelievable. That's Dave, by the way. No, but I do. You're right. And it's the inconsistency with Love Island. The UK one was the best. We had that poor girl who was not even in the show for an episode on the last UK series. She gets binned off, but then as soon as someone becomes free to keep them in, they go, you may be at risk of leaving the island. And this is exactly the same because Courtney's like public opinion. She's a good girl and she's getting the votes. Tell you what, we'll let you stay this one time. And then if someone who isn't getting the vote, the next one, they'll just fuck them off. The inconsistency of the way the voting goes. Like there's the big thing on the UK one, and quite rightly, it was called out. Most of the time, it was the guys doing the recoupling, wasn't it, on the last series again? And some had said, I'd never noticed it, but some had said, this has gone on for 2 or 3 seasons now. The guys have the majority of the votes. And I just didn't understand why. It's like, why is she's not done anything. She's been dull as dishwater. I've not seen anything from her to say, let's keep her in. So why? Just because the public, it doesn't mean she's going to get in a relationship. She's not been full of drama or anything. Actually, she's just been in the background, one of them non-contestants who's just going along for a fucking all-inclusive.
Well, when she's on the VT, she talks herself up like she's got a really good game and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't see it. Series 5 of the UK, they kept Moira in, didn't she? Didn't they? She was... she was left single, and then you're thinking, right, she's out. Clearly, the producers intervened and said, nope, you're going to go on a date, and they kept her in. But that was Moira. She was TV gold, wasn't she? Courtney, it's fucking dull as dishwater. I suspect, Chris, strongly that she has got friends in high places. She's either the fucking daughter of a producer or, just good friends with someone who can pull some strings here, because there is no fucking reason to keep her in the villa. I'm sorry. She's not a good contestant, and the show would not be any poorer for her leaving.
No, I'm with you on that, Dave. And I'll tell you what I'm going to put to task on today's episode, Dave. The fucking crying. What is the matter with these people? The crying is ridiculous. It's like their fucking dog has been run over in front of them. Like there's some traumatic incident going on in their life. They are a bunch of fucking pathetic fuckers. I'm sorry. I know it's Love Island and we're not going through the experience.
They're always like that. On the UK, they are. On the US, they are. They're always like, oh, I can't believe it. You got to leave. Shall I see you next week? Yeah.
I'll never see you again until we meet at one of them red carpet events for the show. But it's just
I've got to leave and go into the fucking adjacent villa, so I get to stay there. Because surely they're not going to fly them home, are they? They're going to stay still on holiday. They'll just be in a different fucking villa with all the other rejects.
Exactly. And I know we've talked about the recoupling, but it was Emily who pissed me off because this was before the recoupling when she went with Mitch and she went, I've got to do. And I'm thinking, no, you don't, Emily. You've done it because you know that you're going to be staying in the villa. It's fuck all to do with Mitch and fucking Tina. It's to do with you being in the limelight, Dave. No matter what she says, it just nonsense. Because if she'd gone with Taku, there's a chance they could have gone. She goes with Mitch, then they stay. So it's bullshit. And then in the next episode was the same. Fucking Tina, Dave. A tears. Unbelievable. It was like a fucking waterfall cascading. The girls, I was just like, the guys were doing it. And I'm not saying we shouldn't express our emotions. I've got no problem with that. I'll put my hoodie up and pretend that I'm being all macho, Dave, and I may be crying when I'm watching stuff like Afterlife or whatever. Even Endgame got me, Dave, which is a Marvel film, so I'm allowed to pretend to be semi-tough on that. But I do think that it just was like, oh my God, these fuckers have got taps in their eyes. It's just ridiculous. The context of real life and watching this to crying is just like, You're unbelievable. Unfucking believable. I was just on one watching it. I was like, maybe I am getting old and grumpy. Now I'm 43. I am not buying any of this shit.
There possibly is a bit into that. We'll maybe think of a rebranding at some point again in the future. You know, grumpy old men watch reality TV. But before that day, Chris. So the start of episode 9, we got to see that the most popular boys were Taku, Aaron, and Chris, and the least popular girls were Rachel and Lexi. And I'm thinking, well, Rachel's got this in the bag because Chris is right there. He's coupled up with Rachel. They had that bit of an argument, but they seemed to resolve it after that. Nope, Chris sends fucking Rachel home.
Yeah. And and you know what? You've made a great point before, and you're so right. Is the stuff going on off camera that we've not seen with Rachel? Because she's not come across as a bad person to me at all. I'm just speculating. I don't know anything. I know you guys are ahead of us, so you may know other bits of tea that we don't. But it just seemed really odd that he was going to, and he was like crying his eyes out because he voted for her. And I'm like, well, that's your girl. Why have you done that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that plays into what you said about Chris being a fake good guy.
Yeah, I'm not buying him at all and his fucking homophobic hands impressions. There's something really off about Chris that I don't like.
It's funny, don't you think he looks a bit like Cillian Murphy?
He does. He actually reminds me. There's a guy at work who quite looks like Chris, and he is a stand-up great bloke, to be honest. But it's the eyes. It's the eyes that look like Cillian Murphy.
I think so. And Chris, obviously, he was distraught, absolutely distraught, Dave. We get Nicholas and Zoe coming in here. By the end of episode 9, he's snogging Zoe, Dave. And the whole house is up in the air, joyful. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you were all fucking down and out because Rachel was going. It didn't take much to forget about her.
Crying your eyes out because fucking Rachel was leaving. And Rachel's like, oh, maybe if he walks out single, I'll be happy. And Chris is not fucking arsed one bit. Again, all these data points just collecting around this kind of fake nice guy persona. I guarantee you, Chris, that those fucking hands impressions, if you go to his TikTok, which I'm honestly never going to do, I guarantee you that is one of his personas that he's got on there, because they cleverly kind of throw in things, don't they, that to promote their own social media.
You know what? I thought you were going to say, I'm going to go there right now. I wasn't expecting you to say, because I'll never go there.
I'm not going to go to his fucking TikTok, am I?
You know I will, but there you go. I'll go and investigate, Dave.
Well, I know that's not going to fucking happen. Phelps Investigations.
reads one article. It's the truth, I've read it. He said it once in an article. Yeah, I've seen it, yeah. Right, anyway. So we get to episode 10, and finally, Emily and Mitch kiss. And they look like to me, Dave, they look like there was chemistry between them. I think Emily's been quite nice since she's been in the villa. She's not caused a lot of waves. Obviously, I know she's going to have to Mitch, and I'm questioning the bullshit, crying at the recoupling. But I've not had anything bad to say about the kiss, and I'm thinking, holy shit, this is it now. Oh, Tina's well out of the game. In typical Love Island fashion, to give that proper memory, almost like Liam and Millie, who won it in the UK, Dave, he decides that it's the worst thing he's ever done. And he starts crying then. I'm like, oh my fucking days, what is going on here?
Oh, he's been crying throughout, hasn't he? This whole thing. And what I appreciated was that after Emily had picked him, he slept on the daybeds outside. And he's just like, look, it's not fair. And kind of, I want to be fair to you both. I am genuinely confused and, need to sort my own head out. So I think it was that more than anything that I thought, all right, okay, fair play to you. Because how many times have we seen on Love Island, them say, oh, no, I can't believe she's picked me. You're going to sleep in the same bed? Yeah.
Are you putting a cushion down the middle? No.
It's a
two different
job,
quilts.
but someone's got to do it. She's not going to fucking spoon herself, is she? So, but I'll be thinking
Exactly.
So yeah, so I appreciated he did that, but I think the turning point, Chris, was not necessarily the kiss. He really didn't like it when Nicholas was talking to Tina. And Nicholas, he's another good-looking bloke, and but he's sort of turning on the flirt with Tina, and I think Mitch just really didn't like it, and so I thought he was going to do that classic thing of like, well, I want to be with Emily, but I don't want anyone to be with Tina. So I kind of appreciated that he eventually kind of made that decision, and he said, look, I want to pursue things with Tina. And I think in terms of personality, I do like Tina. She's got some good gags. Even when she was fucking crying, I can't remember what the joke was now, but she was in the VT and she's like, well, you can't just let a good joke like that pass you by just because you're upset, can you? I was like, oh, she's my spirit animal here. So, yeah, I do like Tina, and fucking Emily when she's doing some of those challenges. It's like she's in a fucking softcore porno or something. She's really, got that down to a T. But then she kind of no, well, apparently, Chris. Apparently, so they say. But Emily, she goes. I'm trying to move on here. She goes straight on to Taku. And then, there's no flies on her because she's like, oh yeah, I was thinking about you and fantasizing about you before I came into the villa. So she's like fucking right off the Mitch train, and she is full steam ahead, basically telling Taku she's been fantasizing about him.
Well, Dave, Taku, it'd be silly not to pursue it. He's not really with anyone. I know currently he's with Tina until she's obviously going to get back with Mitch. They're the natural couple. And I've just said all this, and I'm probably going to be a hypocrite because I think you're right. Emily's doing the classic Love Island desperado, like that girl who on the UK one was with, what was he called? A fucking dickhead teacher who fucking loved himself. Who got with nobody. Fucking knobhead, wasn't it? Hugo. And that girl he got with, who was also an absolute wannabe. But she was Amy. She was clever enough to play him, and he was so stupid, Hugo, because he is such a knobhead. Anyway, he is a dickhead. I got no love lost for him, but she just absolutely played him. She had no interest in him anyway, but because he acted like such a bellend, she ended up coming out of it looking good, and sort of helped a little mini revival on social media. So yeah, that was Love Island 101, wasn't it? It's sort of like you kiss someone, they roll over, and you go, oh, there's someone behind me, I'll roll over into them and give them a kiss. And it's the classic Love Island desperado. I want this holiday. I want this new life. So I need to pretend to be in love sort of thing. So, but I don't think it's fair on Taku, to be honest, Dave, because I've not seen anything from Taku other than some of his Davy Brent cheesy lines. I think he's a good guy. I think he's probably, out of all the guys, I think he's probably, for me, my favourite. He's one of the most genuine ones.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'd say worry about him, but he's just been dicked around by Jess. I just don't really have an appetite to see him dicked around by Emily because, like I say, she was all on board the Mitch train. She was pursuing him aggressively, and then he makes it clear, I'm going to pursue things with Tina, and then she's like, right, on to Taku then. So It doesn't feel authentic to me.
I don't think their relationship will last much longer anyway, because we've got a double eviction, Dave, going into the next episode. So I don't know whether they're going to do the old... If they're going to do couples, then they have got to be at risk, haven't they? Because Tina's going to get back with Mitch, and if there is a recoupling to do with the double vote, or if it's just a vote off. But it might be the old one where, I tell you what, let's split up a couple. Instead of the couple going, they split them up, don't they? And then you got this limbo where two people become friends. I never agree with that. I always think that if one of them gets voted off, they both should go, because that's the whole point of Love Island, isn't it?
It's just the producer's choice, though, isn't it? It's just like, fucking, let's have this double eviction because we want to split up. Let's say Ryan and Lexi. We want one of them to go because we they're a bit cozy. We just want to fuck them up a bit. That's all it is, really, isn't it? So, but Chris, again, I've really enjoyed this season. I've again been a little bit ahead of you, and I've been chomping at the bit. I'm like, I need to get onto episode 11, especially when they leave it on that cliffhanger. It's like, it's going to be a double eviction. So it's just good to kind of catch up again, get this recorded, and then we could get on with the next 5.
Exactly. And I will race you because I'm the same as you. I'm really enjoying it, Dave. I think it's just a different level with the Aussies. I just love their honesty, I think, a lot of the time. And I don't know, there just seems to be less about, there is the social media stuff. You're right, the TikTok stuff with Chris, which I will be checking out, Dave. And you don't believe that Chris Phelps investigations will be live and kicking again. And in fact, Dave, the reality radar. Now, Dave, I'm going to say it now. The reality radar has been working overtime these 5 episodes. Do you know who I think is going to win it, Dave? Aaron and Jess.
No.
Telling you, Dave. I'm telling you. Aaron seemed to be not. He was so, you saw people winning you over. I didn't mind him towards the end of them. Episode 9 and 10, it seemed to be Jess was doing her princess bit, and he seemed a bit more grounded. Whether the nice guys in him, I'm not sure. Granted,
he was a bit less of a dick than how he was in the previous episodes. I did pick up on that as well, but no, I'm not having that. I don't know. I'd need Chris. I'm not sure I'm in a position pre-Casa Amor to make any predictions.
That's very true. Absolutely,
that is the landmine, isn't it? That just scatters all the pieces everywhere. People who are coupled up, you kind of, and you thought were safe, suddenly aren't. And so, post Casa Amor, I'll probably have a go.
Hang on a minute. I think I've done what I always do, Dave, and shot below a bit earlier.
You've jumped in too early without actually thinking.
Yeah, I've done a Chris Phelps special now. Hang on. I retract all that, and I'm not editing it out. We're keeping that in. But yeah, it's a very good point, actually, Dave. Right, okay. Forget everything I've just said before you came in there, Dave. So anyway, and also, we will be watching The Bachelorette as well this week and getting an episode out. It's night and day, fucking night and day. And if you do listen to both podcasts that we do, guys, we watch The Bachelorette, but it's like the mental torture just for me and you to talk, Dave. That is the highlight of it all, that we can just let it all off our chest. And we've got the hometowns, haven't we, with Michelle this week. So there's 4 guys left, and it's just going to be the same fake bullshit, Dave. But are we going to watch it all? You're damn right we're going to watch it. So thank you, as always, guys, for tuning in and supporting us. We really appreciate it. We are getting there with Love Island, and it's great that so many people, we said it on the first episode, have actually stopped watching it until they catch up with us. So really, really appreciate that. If you want to support us, as always, patreon.com/CD Realitycast. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com, and go to social media @cdrealitycast. So brilliant stuff. Today's roll call of honour is Michelle, Keith, Helen, Brianna, Noreen, Claire, Amy, Zoe, Joanna, Helen, Libby, Katie, Dee Dee, Priscilla, Susan, Tracy, Lauren, Lucky Lulu Green, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you. Oh, and Tracy, David. I've not said her twice, but we'll say her again. So thank you, Tracy, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys. It's really, really good here. We're absolutely humbled. We've had such a good year, Dave, doing the reality stuff. As we come towards the end of the year, it's just getting better.
It certainly is. And I'm actually just thinking, because in the UK and also in the US, we are a little bit behind. So it looks like, as we're recording today, they've got up to episode 17, and it seems to be consistent. So where we are in the UK seems to be where the US are as well. So no problem with the next 5 episodes if we can get that recorded at some point over the coming days. And then hopefully they'll be up to episode 20-ish after we've recorded the next episode.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. So it's time to go, and thank you as always, mate. I love talking about this stuff. I will see you next time.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate. And thanks to everyone out there for listening, and I'll speak to you next time.
Bye.